Good morning. Oh, so I've been working for the last couple days, and I got myself a little haircut from Brent there. I'm feeling nice and clean. I'm well rested. It's been really nice to like not be spending 18 hours a day sanding. I am back in Deadcat Bay, and it's not ideal. So my main goal right now is to get off of my old mooring and onto anchor. So hopefully in this episode, that's what we'll achieve. And it started last night. Let me show you what I did. Oh, so last night we had one of those king tide low tides. And I used that as an opportunity to rescue an anchor that we dropped during the storm in February to save Mike's caboose. Now it's a big, beautiful 75-pound fisherman anchor. It's not ideal for the muddy surroundings here, but it's an anchor I really want to keep on the boat as, you know, a complement to a nice plow anchor. So I spent about an hour last night in that dinghy, jumping up and down, doing all kinds of techniques to try and wrestle that huge thing out of the mud and back onto my boat. Now, when you have an anchor that heavy, 75 pounds doesn't seem like much to landlubbers, but you gotta remember this is 75 pounds designed to bury itself into the ground. And as a result, it is a significant amount more weight once it's in there, and it's very tough to get out. So I spent a long time last night, right around 2 o'clock in the morning, just like banging around, digging and digging and digging. And when it finally came up, it's not my anchor. You see that thing? So there she is. Yep, that is not a fisherman's anchor. I don't know what kind of anchor that is. I do a quick Google search, but I don't have an internet connection right now, and I let my phone bill relapse for like the 95th time, which is one of the reasons why people really are irritated with me and have a hard time getting a hold of me. Sorry. I basically check the internet once every 48 hours and I get an episode uploaded, and then I go right back out here where I have no connection to anything, and it drives Melly crazy and it drives my family crazy, but yeah, that's what happens when you spend all your money on boat stuff. Gotta stop doing that. Just keep doing that. But hopefully this anchor setup doesn't cost me too much, because I did get this particular anchor for free, which I'm totally going to use because it's actually in really good condition. I don't know whose it is, but whoever it is, thanks for leaving it at the bottom of Deadcat Bay for the last couple of years. I now own it, and I'm going to use it. I guess this would be a good episode to talk a little bit about anchors in general and the plan on my setup and what I'm going to do for anchors. But first I'm going to make breakfast. Now, I don't know the exact name of this design, but the thing that makes it not quite as good, and it's kind of similar to a Danford, is it has a moving angle. It has a swiveling bit right here. So this, which is susceptible to corrosion, needs to move in order for this anchor to set properly. And as you can tell currently, it's covered in gunk, and it's a little corroded. Although it looks like most of the galvanizing has held. So yeah, I'll give it a light scrub down, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so put a coat of primer on this thing. Gonna do a few coats of primer, gonna paint it up nice. I mean, I got it for free, so might as well make it look pretty, and then I could tell people it's a really expensive anchor. During my scrubbing, I did discover that it is in fact actually not that expensive of an anchor, but not the cheapest one. It's a Danford, which is Danforth anchor, which are cheap. It's a 75-pound Danford Mark II. So, don't know, never used one of these before. I've used Danfords plenty before, and I've been very, very pleased with them. They're very popular around here. Either that's because they're cheap or because most places people anchor are mud, and Danfords do pretty good in mud. So, I mean, yes, of course, I would love to have a really nice Rockna or something like that, or a Delta would be great too, and eventually maybe I will get one. However, brand new, they are in the thousands of dollars, and I don't have thousands of dollars. In fact, I have $0. And for $0, I think I'm doing pretty darn good. I will have to spend a little bit of money on some road because there is no good quality nylon road lying around in the bay, unfortunately. So I will have to buy new stuff. But I think I'm gonna reuse the chain, and I'll get some new swivels for it when I go into town tomorrow. But for today, let's just get that paint on.
Fix broken hearts. Private thoughts become facts when you speak just to talk. Words yell from above. Is that what you meant by love?
Okay, so this is the, I want to say 50 pound or 45 pound Danford. This one was on the boat when I got the boat. It was rusted in seas, so I used it and then dropped it out as an emergency anchor when I first got here, just because I wasn't sure what condition the ropes were in, so put an extra line out just to make sure. And I had some good storms, and it always gave me a little bit of confidence. Of course, none of my lines ended up breaking, and so I didn't end up ever testing it. When I dug it out just before the haul out, it looked like it was rusted seas, so I worked on it a bit, banged it around, and just now we sanded it, cleaned it, and we're gonna paint it. This would make a good stern anchor, I think. This is the Danford that I know. This is the Danford that like you see on boats all the time. This one here, it says Danford on it, Berkeley, California, but certainly not the Danford that I know well. On top of the slightly different design, it's also time and a half the weight. It is really substantial. So that one is going to be my main anchor for the time being. So I'll be putting that one up the front. I'm going to need that one raised with a winch. It's just, I mean, it's huge. And yeah, so out there somewhere behind me, my Fisherman's still out there. I want to get that back on board as well, because it's also a 75 or 80 pounder. And I think, short of spending a few $1,000s on a nice Rocknar Delta, that's a good compliment for me right now. 2 plow type anchors and 1 Fisherman good reef anchor, and that's more than enough for these parts. Once I start moving around more and I get to more sandy areas, I think I'm gonna definitely invest in something, I don't know, a little bit more modern, let's put it that way. Well, they certainly look cool. Hopefully they work half as good as they look, because if they do, then we're all set. And that's it for today. I'm gonna run into town tomorrow, collect some rope for this thing and a couple of pieces of hardware that I need. And then we're gonna move the boat out there where it doesn't touch bottom anymore. That'll be nice. We can move along with the rest of the actual boat building project. Good morning, welcome to part 2 of the anchor episode, in which we don't do any of the anchor related things I wanted to do. Oops. Basically what happened is I went into town, I went to Nanaimo, I collected some materials, and I looked at some anchor road. I didn't want to go polyester, I wanted to just do the investment properly, buy the 3-strand nylon 3/4 or 5/8, somewhere in that range, and just be done with it. You know, 200 feet of it would be enough for this one particular anchor road, and then tie it to my 25-foot of chain. However, turns out it's really expensive in Nanaimo. It was gonna cost me, the cheapest one I could get was $600, and they went all the way up to $1,000 if I was gonna get a full roll of 600, which I got a bit of a discount on, but just not good prices, man. Not good prices. I could have gone full chain instead, and the full chain is an option, but the problem is with my rig, I don't have a windlass, I have a winch, and there's only so much space on the winch. Winch works for wire, works for rope, but on chain, not so good. Unfortunately, anchoring real estate here in Deadcat Bay is at a very limited quantity, so I had to make the most of the small amount of rope that I had. Didn't want to anchor too deep, and so here I am. I'm very, very close to Mike's caboose right over there. motorboat right over there, and the Sea Lark right there somewhere. Yeah, it's coming around. Here we are. Anyway, so since I didn't show dropping the anchor or anything else, so instead we're gonna work on the rudders today. We're gonna show you guys a bit of that. Hopefully we get a lot done, and make some cleats as well, you know, just lots of stuff. Right, so I didn't get to show you guys while I was in the haul out, but that's basically how I fixed this keg board. A couple of pieces of fur laminated together with a lot of epoxy, drilled down, and then bolted on with some bronze screws, and then backfilled with epoxy, and then we grinded, you know, into shape afterwards, after it dries and cures, which will be tomorrow. Today we're gonna let that sit, and we're gonna jump over to another woodworking job. I've got to show you, this is cool. So I don't get the chance of working with hardwoods very often, but I got these pieces of cherry wood left over from a job I did for somebody here on the island. I was building them a tabletop, and these are just some leftover scraps, but I'm going to use these leftover scraps to make cleats for the boat out of some nice hard cherry wood. First I need to laminate them together so that I have the shape that I need to carve them out of.
The apartments, they are burning down.
Alright, well, Micah's gone for the day. Don't worry guys, you'll see him again sometime. But he won't be doing his community service with me coming up. So if he does come out, it'll be purely for pleasure. And I look forward to that because it's going to be a good summer, I hope. And summer has arrived. I'm in my t-shirt right now. Sun is shining. Remember last week when it snowed? Me neither. We got 4 cleats glued up. But because they are hardwood, I'm going to be able to carve them. And I was just doing a little bit of testing on the carving and using a piece of scrap. And look what I made. Look at this. So this right here is a little piece of that cherry wood. And I was able to carve it into a ring. Ah, look at that. Right? It's a little bit bulky, but it's all right. But yeah, that is the power of hardwood. And for many of you who've worked with wood before, that is no surprise to you at all. But to me, it was a great big revelation that you could carve hardwoods and it would be so hard. And well, I'm going to look forward to carving these into really nice cleats, as right now they look like they belong in Minecraft. And as blocky as my boat is, I would like it to not look like it belongs in Minecraft forever. So let's jump back to work. Day's not over. Alright, another little oopsie. I moved the boat again, this time right next to the other side of the Sea Lark, and I've tied the Sea Lark's chain as tight as she'll go. She's got a Danford down there. I think it's a 20-pound or 25-pound Danford, but it's so embedded because it's been in there all winter long. And it's not come up easy. So I tied it as tight as she'd go, put it around the cleat on the front of the boat, and waiting for the tide to do the work for me. We'll just watch the bow slowly dip and the transom slowly lift, and eventually she'll be loose, and then I'll just pull in the rope and pull her up, tie her up next to my boat, because now we're both in deeper water and we're both able to sit next to one another. Won't that be nice? And I'll rely on the great big anchor that I have for the old dog. I'm very excited to have both of these boats next to one another again, because the Sea Lark has a lot of work that needs to be done on her before she's ready to cruise for the summer, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do a little bit of work on her now that she's tied up right next to us.